Before we get to our show, here is a podcast we think you're going to love.
Hey, this is Sasha
and Courtney from the podcast
Spoop Hour.
We are a paranormal comedy podcast hosted by two certified Halloweenies who laugh through our fear of literally everything.
Everything.
You
can find us on the internet at Spoop Hour, SPOOPHOUR, on Instagram and Twitter, or you can reach out to us via email, spoophour@gmail.com, where you can share any creepy happenings that have happened to you, or people you know, or things that you've heard down the grapevine.
Spoop line, am I right, ladies?
Oh, the spoop line.
So come get ghosted with us, pee your pants because of cryptids, just have a grand old time.
It's fun.
It's quieter than it used to be, but I haven't adjusted any of the knobby things, so I can't explain it. Like, I'm not a sound engineer.
That's
quite apparent if anyone...
I mean, Mac was complaining our sound quality was too good, so...
Was he?
Yeah.
How could that even be a thing?
Because...
Oh, that's right.
Because on a podcast, one person sounds like they're in the other room.
Yes, I do remember that from editing that episode. All right, here we are.
Oh, hello. Hello, everyone.
This is our intro, Liz.
Hello, 5 listeners.
Get it together.
This is Perhaps It's You. We are an unofficial Unsolved Mysteries rewatch podcast. And that deadbeat Samantha is back.
I'm here. I'm Samantha.
My name's Liz, I suppose. And I'm also here. And we're here to talk about some mysteries. I'm not looking forward to this one. We are looking forward to you listening and being a part of the Perhaps It's You family.
Oh, for sure.
But I don't particularly want to talk about this episode.
Nah, this one happens. Was kind of a dud. I feel like some people aren't going to like our coverage of it, and
it's a real mixed bag, this one.
We'll see. But I'm going to drink this polar water that was sent to us by a lovely listener.
Yes, thank you, Dorothy, for spending so much money to send us polar water. You are a saint among men.
My hero. Dorothy sent us Starfruit Lemonade. It's part of the Seltzer Aid line, and pineapple pomelo. The Starfruit lemonade is delicious and not like any flavor of water we can get around here, so I'm quite enjoying it.
I'm gonna try this pineapple pomelo one.
It's so good. I love the Seltzer Aid ones, but they don't sell them anywhere around here anymore.
Welcome to Seltzer Talk. Seltzer. Okay, that's delicious.
The pineapple pomelo. Oh, I can't wait to try mine.
It's like a less sweet.
Yours is now a volcano.
Oh. How did I manage to do that?
The pineapple pomelo got a little shook up.
Okay, well, I had a long journey here. That's cool. We only have recording equipment on this table. It doesn't matter.
Dorothy lives in a polar paradise and can get any of the flavors of polar water.
Really about.
And kindly sent us some, so we thank you so very much.
I had a couple updates from the last episode. They're more of corrections.
Okay.
Correction number 1. We confused, me and Mac, who was our co-host while you couldn't be bothered to be here, confused Bobby Mays and Billy. Oh, yeah.
You called Billy Mays Billy Blanks.
Yeah.
Billy Blanks was a real person who did Taekwondo?
Taibo. Which was an exercise videotape.
I can't even get it right. I remember those outfits. If there's something you remember about Billy Blanks, it's his very unique...
he was a cut dude, probably not from the Taibo. And he wanted to show off those
pecs. He wanted to show off those pecs.
We used to watch those videos and do them in gym class sometimes.
Oh, we did for sure.
And what I remember most distinctly is he would go like, now double time. And you had to do everything twice as fast. But clearly just the tape was sped up. Like they weren't doing it twice as fast. They were just they just sped up the tape of them doing it normal speed. And I have no idea why. Like he clearly could have done it faster.
Oh, yeah. We did those. But you know when your gym teacher is a little hungover from the night before... and need something for you to do.
People have told me that gym class has improved since, I
find that hard to believe.
The olden days when I was in school and teachers were literally like smoking on golf carts while telling you to run the mile and just like screaming at you and stuff. So yeah,
just maybe putting in a Billy Blanks tape.
Yeah, maybe going like, hey kids, we're not playing dodgeball today. We're gonna watch this tape. Maybe that doesn't happen anymore, but in the 90s it definitely did.
Mm-hmm.
I say this as a person who watched the movie Contact in school twice. 2 different classes felt it was very important that we watch that entire movie.
So Billy Mays sold OxyClean.
Yes,
Billy
okay, the
Blanks
point was...
did Typo.
We were actually talking about Billy Mays, who sold cleaner, died, and was a jerk at O'Hare Airport. Billy Blanks is innocent of all of those crimes. But we got the names mixed up because, I don't know, they were both on TV. They were both named Billy.
Both Billy. I mean,
We knew
from the same
who
era.
we were talking about in our minds, but we were wrong. Well, we said. The other thing was, we were talking in that bank robbery. I was like, I know there's a movie where they wear Ronald Reagan masks, and I couldn't think of it, and it's Point Break. Yes, it's Point Break. I am familiar with Point Break. If someone had said, Liz, what is a movie about 2 men who are obviously in love with each other and can't admit it, I would have said, oh, Point Break. But that's not what I was trying to think of. I was trying to think of Ronald Reagan masks.
The Reagan masks. Sure.
Yeah.
So thanks for those corrections. Those came from folks in our Facebook group. Much
They were
appreciated.
clearly ready to strangle me.
No, I
As
think
I went forth giving false information to the world.
despite that, our episode last week got a lot of love. Folks love Mac's voice.
He
Maybe
refuses
he
to
should
believe it.
Start narrating audiobooks or something.
He refuses to believe that he never listens to the episodes that he's on, and he refuses to believe that they're met with anything other than disdain.
They were hilarious. I was cracking up as I was editing.
He should have a podcast. He should, do something. Take advantage of that voice crush. We were also talking about how I'm trying to get my friends to start a 90210 podcast, and then Luke Perry just died.
Yeah,
R.I.P. Luke Perry.
that's unfortunate.
It seems like the perfect time to start a 90210
I mean,
podcast.
oh, come on. There was some love for that in the podcast group. So you've got at least 1 or 2 listeners already.
That's all you need.
We had 5.
Yeah, that's all you need.
As far as we know, we still do have 5. So
Yeah, I mean, who knows? After this episode, we're gonna have 2. Just my mom and my dad. Did you have any updates to share with us?
no, not
No.
really. I wasn't here last week. I was not even in the state. I escaped winter for a brief period. Wish it had been longer, but I can't
Yeah.
complain.
I mean, I guess you have other responsibilities.
If you follow
more
us on
important than
Instagram,
this.
you saw that I was in San Diego for a work trip. I didn't post a lot because I was there for work, but I did post some beautiful sunset shots of the ocean. Oh, I wish I was there right now.
Yeah, okay, whatever. You don't care about this podcast anymore. I get it.
Well, I came back to Minnesota. There was 10 more inches of snow than when I left. So fuck
We got
this.
40 inches of snow in February.
8 more this weekend, maybe. And then now they're talking about next Wednesday we might get more snow. It's going to be bad.
I don't even know what to say.
Yeah.
Why won't it stop?
I don't know. Our flight got delayed on Friday coming back. It was... This whole winter is just...
Why didn't we take
canceled.
Al Gore seriously after he invented the internet when he was warning us all about climate change?
Well,
Why didn't we take that seriously?
here we are.
Now, just live everywhere. Every sidewalk in Minneapolis is just almost like a tunnel through feet of snow now. There's like nowhere to put the snow that you shovel.
We're experiencing this thing in Minnesota now where you can't get around corners when you're driving.
You just have to kind of guess
Because
if anything's there.
You can't see if a car is coming because there's 2 snow mountains on either side.
It's ridiculous.
It's been bad.
I don't have any updates on LA traffic, so I guess we'll just...
Get started?
We'll just get started. But the thing
Unfortunately-
is, I don't want to.
Neither do I.
Also, it's a Tuesday, not when we usually record, and I just feel like it's already been like a really long week.
Yes, it has.
And
Absolutely. But here we are talking about
Here
unsolved
we are.
mysteries.
This is our dedication to you, dear listeners, and to Robert Stack, wherever he may be on the other side of the veil.
So our first mystery is an unexplained death. And it is the murder of Tracy Kirkpatrick.
Oh, yeah.
Who is a senior honors student who is interested in poetry and writing. Her mother describes Tracy as bright, but interested in sad poems.
Those things are usually mutually exclusive, but she managed to bring them together, both intelligence and it seemed like very slight teenage melancholy.
Yeah. So after breaking up with her boyfriend in high school, Tracy writes a somber and ominous poem to her parents, telling them to not miss her when she's gone. It was, yeah.
She's a teenager. I
hasn't done
realize
this?
most people grow out of that phase. I somehow never did, but it's just a morose time. I'm not really sure why.
I'm not sure
but
why it was worth bringing up. At first, I thought they were going to go with like a possible suicide.
It's because they put it on her grave.
Oh, that's right.
So it's like, it's capping the little segment. You start with this poem, and then in the end, you see her grave has the poem on it. Which,
Liz is right. That's
do you
a
have
nice
to pay
story
by the
arc.
letter for that? Because, yikes.
I mean, it was a long poem. So Tracy worked at a clothing store after school.
She had 2 part-time jobs in high school. I was
And
impressed.
she maintained her honor student status. So
Yeah.
she was going places. In early 1989, Tracy was assigned to close the store. Tracy was alone. About 15 minutes before closing time, around 8:45 p.m., we see her in the reenactment tallying up the day's till. 2 hours later, a security guard for the shopping mall notices that the lights in the store are still on and decides to investigate. The front door is unlocked. He opens it up and calls, but no one answers, so he goes in to investigate. At the back of the store, he finds Tracy's body in the storeroom. She has been brutally stabbed. The guard immediately phones the police.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's brutal. At almost the same time, Tracy's parents, Diane and Bill Kirkpatrick, arrive at the store. It had been over an hour since they expected Tracy to be home, so they had driven to the store to try and find her. At the store, they
is
learn of her murder.
Absolute worst nightmare.
Yeah, in the reenactment, you see the parents pull up and there's police cars surrounding the store, so they know immediately something's
That reenactment
wrong.
is harsh. They're just like, it's just hard to watch, is what I mean. Like them chit-chatting in the car, like, oh, it's only been an hour. I'm sure there's nothing to worry about, blah, blah. And then they like pull up and they see those police
cars.
lights, and it's just like, oh no.
I know.
So awful.
At the scene, the police find no immediate motive of the crime. There was no evidence of sexual assault, and the store's cash receipts were still on the counter. There was no evidence of a struggle. This led police to believe that her killer might have been someone she knew. So detectives were baffled until 3 months later when a man calling himself Don phoned what Unsolved Wiki called a Las Vegas murder confession hotline. But I don't remember them saying it that way in the episode. I don't know that.
I feel like I would have remembered that string of words. Could you say that again?
A Las Vegas murder confession hotline.
Is that just a thing that we have to
People-
have in the United States? Murder confession hotline?
Hotline for people to
Don't
confess
worry.
to murder.
Here's a toll-free number you can call and confess to murder.
I think it was probably just Crime Stoppers or something, but they're calling it a murder confession hotline.
I
so-
kind of love it. It almost seems like an art project. It's like, hey, you got some murders you want to confess to?
Call us up.
It might not really get you caught, but it'll help you get it off your chest. You'll sleep a little better, murderers.
So the hotline.
I'm like in my mind going, we should really set up a murder confession hotline. How much is
Perhaps
a
it's you.
murder confession?
hotline.
Confess to these crimes. Confess. Confess.
Maybe we'll catch a murderer. I don't know.
Maybe. We can't do worse than these cops.
True.
What a bunch of jokers.
The hotline immediately notified the police, who thought the man on the recording sounded sincere. Why? I don't know.
I guess they just were like, this doesn't seem like a prank to us.
They said that he had convincing knowledge of the case. He did know, according to the reenactment, that she had been murdered in the storeroom. The man claimed that he was a regular in the store and would stop by to chat with her. And the night of her murder, he made like an advance towards her. She turned him down. He got mad and then stabbed her.
He was
And
like, with the knife that I carry at all times.
he has a very matter-of-fact, cold
Yes.
delivery. So they play the recording for the show, and it's creepy.
It's something.
It sounds like he's reading off a script. It's weird.
It is weird.
And I mean, I guess if you're
And
the type
there's
of person.
not a lot of vocal affection or
No.
affectation or whatever the word is I'm
And then
looking
at the
for.
end, he's just like, all right, bye.
Yeah, that's the weirdest part. He's like, and that's why I killed her, and I'm sorry. And a couple days later, I realized that I caused a lot of sadness, and but you have the death penalty, and that's it. Okay, murder, bye.
That's pretty much exactly what he said.
And I was like, wait, you only realized you caused people pain a couple days after she was dead?
Yeah.
But maybe not everything's firing quite right upstairs.
I doubt it. So, in an effort to reach Don, police composed a letter and published it in a local newspaper. The letter pleaded with him to come forward. Police received no response, but 2 weeks later, another phone call provided them with an unlikely lead, in the words of Robert Stack.
You know, Unsolved Mysteries was so fucking happy about this lead. Oh my god.
Oh, for sure, because a psychic named Martha Woodworth came forward claiming that a man named Sean was obsessed with Tracy's murder and was constantly trying to contact her. She claims that she recognized the voice of Don as the man named Sean. Police have been unable to find enough evidence to file charges against him, and the case remains unsolved. So, yeah, the result is
on that thing, they said basically that they found who those people, how Don Sean was, and it wasn't him.
Yeah, so this is the result. It's still unsolved. Police have since determined that the man calling himself Don and Sean had nothing to do with Tracy's murder. However, they have since narrowed down their list of suspects to 2 people, including Don Barnes Jr., the security guard that found her body.
Oh, shit.
His daughter allegedly claimed that he was abusive towards her and her mother. She also believes that he was involved in Tracy's murder and had over an hour to cover up the crime. His father was the police chief at the time of her murder, and some have suggested that he covered up evidence in the case. However, this has not been confirmed.
Fuck.
A retired investigator who worked on the case in 1994 stated that he believes he knows the identity of her killer. According to him, based on circumstantial evidence, her killer was a friend of hers, possibly Barnes. However, he claims that, quote, politics and personal agendas and, quote, people not doing their jobs prevented the arrest from ever being made. So that's what they think, but possibly there was some police corruption.
Allegedly.
Yeah, who knows?
Don't sue us.
No, please don't.
I think if you just say that, sometimes then people can't.
I assume that's how it works.
Yeah,
right? Sure.
yeah.
Laws, whatever. So... it's really sad.
I've been watching so much Law & Order lately, and now I want someone in Law & Order to go.
Apparently there is DNA evidence.
Oh, shit.
So DNA testing of samples found at the scene began in March 2009. It is not known if any evidence was...
Okay, that was a while ago.
Her killer has not been identified or apprehended. So maybe someday they'll figure it out, but unfortunately
Very
her
tragic.
murder is unsolved as of today, and yeah, it's extremely sad.
Very tragic and unnecessary and...
Senseless.
Yeah, her poor parents. Ugh.
I know.
Not
A great way to start it out, but here we are.
I mean, it's a classic unsolved mystery story because you have this unsolved murder and then there's like a psychic involved for no reason. Like, why did someone start calling a psychic to talk about this murder? It's so random, but it's just like very unsolved mysteries. Like the essence of unsolved mysteries was like, and now here's a psychic for some reason who got roped into this. We like sort of unwillingly. Like you could tell the psychic was sort of like, look, I don't know this person. Like he had to send her clippings about the case because it's like, well, it's not even you. Like, how am I supposed to get a reading off of this?
Yeah.
She was like not into it, and the guy like kept calling her. So strange. Anyway, we're going on to a wanted now. This is the case of Steve Wilson, who is a con man / murderer.
At what point did we have the update about Amelia Earhart? Was that between these two?
Oh, yeah, there was. And I just wrote unnecessary Amelia update.
Apparently they found some metal on some island. The only reason to even talk about that update is because our MVM, I think, is in that one.
Okay, so I'm going to be honest with you.
Okay.
And that's that I fast forwarded through that update.
But you saw the mustache.
I saw the mustache when you posted it.
Yes, I posted it in our Facebook group.
But did I actually watch that segment? No, because I assumed it had nothing of relevance in it.
I actually think it did bring some new information up that wasn't in the original segment.
That's rare because that's not what's been happening.
I was so not into it that I kind of was just not listening. But Mr. Rick Gillespie, who is an aviation archaeologist, appeared to tell us some stuff. And
Archaeologist.
He has a mustache that is very interesting because it seems like he's shaved it.
Oh, he has.
He's like taken the top off the mustache.
I actually, the way you just described it, I think I would call this mustache fracking.
That's a good one.
Because he has a blonde mustache, but at the top, you know, as it reaches the nostrils, he's clearly trimmed that away, which most people do, I think, a little bit, but he's done it like a lot.
There's a lot of real estate between this mustache and his nose.
I'm assuming he knew he was going on TV and maybe he messed it up a little bit and then he had to like correct it and he had to correct it more.
At that point, he was committed.
It's like if you're trying to cut your own bangs and they end up too short.
Lose the mustache then. You know, I mean, this is something.
Well, I bet that's like a thing. He can't just not have a mustache. He always has a mustache.
I guess. I asked people in our Facebook group to propose names for this mustache. I really like the fracking.
The fracking.
But another favorite of mine is Jody wanted to call it the bed skirt.
Yeah, that's appropriate.
Which made me pretty much do a spit take. Another person, Helen, said lip icing.
Yeah.
That's very much like lip icing. It's also like, it weirdly is almost the same color as his skin, which a lot of people found unsettling. So someone wanted to call it the Phantom because it blends in with his skin.
I get that.
The toupee because it looks fake.
I don't think it's fake. I think it's real.
I don't think it's fake, but
I don't think if he was going to get a fake mustache, he would have gotten that mustache, you know? Like, he could have picked any mustache then.
The half stash. It is like half a mustache.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. Anyway, so Rick, I think you get our MVM if you're listening. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Rick. I hope you've kind of sorted out, like, your trimming
situation.
Yeah, like your procedure. I hope you're in a more comfortable mustache
Maybe
place.
he was just trying to protect the top of his upper lip. That's all he cared about.
Look, Rick, get in touch. Perhaps it's you podcast@gmail.com.
We have some advice about your facial hair.
I've never had a mustache, but I've got a lot of opinions. So write it.
All right, anyway, I've derailed you from your mystery. Continue.
It's really okay.
I just wanted to make sure we talked about that MVM because the rest of the mustaches in this episode, not great.
Yeah, I drew one from that first mystery, but it's just a cop mustache. I just called it the search warrant. Whatever.
Search warrant.
It's so boring. Okay, so this is the case of Steve Wilson. He, at this point, was missing. It's a wanted. He had been missing since August 3rd, 1984. So as the segment starts, we see Steve Wilson, who was supposed to be the super charming dude that everyone liked. He was very outgoing. He was very charismatic, whatever. And he was doing some odd jobs at a ranch in California. That led to him getting involved with the ranch owner's daughter, Callie Thornburg. And
her father has the weirdest reaction to this relationship you can possibly imagine.
Yeah, so her dad's name is Bill, and he for some reason really wants them to get married. Is it just because they did it? I don't get it.
She says, so what, do you have her quote? Because she said her dad, I wish I could remember exactly what she said. It was almost like, if she doesn't marry a man, all she's going to have for the rest of her life is her father and the ranch.
Yeah, it was like he wanted her to branch out in her life and was really excited about this romantic interest for her. But she said even the day before the wedding, she really was
she was dreading it.
I really wish I could get out of this, but it's gone too far. And I kind of wonder if her father just pushed her into this, and then
it for sure sounded like it.
And then she was okay.
I'm stuck now.
Yeah, which sorry, Callie. Callie is also a really no nonsense person. Mm-hmm. She's clearly super serious. She clearly really cared about the ranch and her father. And actually, I think if that had been her whole life, that would have been fine.
Probably.
Or
anyway,
let her branch out in her own way. Yeah.
And either way, Bill, it was her decision to make.
Well, you know what? Bill paid for his mistakes.
Well,
we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So they run off to get married in Reno, and she's going I don't want to do this, but I can't get out of it at this point. And the marriage is immediately a disaster. He's abusive, he's controlling, all of that bullshit. So she leaves him and moves back in with her father just 2 months after the wedding, which God. Anyway.
Yeah.
Things got bad fast. So she moves back in with her father at the ranch, and Steve is making threatening phone calls to her, saying things that he would hurt her worse than she had ever been hurt.
Steve goes berserk.
That he would take away everything that she loved and leave her with nothing. These really over-the-top threats.
Right.
That sounded horrifying. And she's also, out on this ranch where there's not
There's nothing.
There's
it's
wilderness.
her dad, and a bunch of animals.
It's her and an old man in like the middle of nowhere.
And he shows up at the ranch acting like a lunatic.
Yeah, so he shows up, and the reenactment is hilarious, where he like storms out of this pickup truck and slams the door and is just like, I want Callie back.
He's strutting around. This actor is not good.
No, he's not. It's very like, does anybody remember that show Renegade? Where that guy on a motorcycle would like come into town and then solve crimes? It's kind of like that. My mom loved that show. Hi, Mom. Me and my brother were cruel. I would never tell her when it was on, and I'm sorry. So mean. Anyway. That level of acting, perhaps the lowest level,
it was quite low,
is on display here. So he's like screaming, I want Callie back, and Bill's like, get the hell off my ranch, understandably, and he gets his shotgun and is going to shoot Steve because he's making threats and won't leave.
He
and
also grabs like a bat or something and starts breaking.
Yeah, he's like got a
headlights.
stick, and he's smashing up his truck, and just making wild threats, and won't leave. And I don't know where the police are in relation to this ranch, but I assume they can't get there in a speedy fashion whatsoever. So he's gonna shoot Steve, which I feel like he would have been within his right to do. And Callie's like, no, I don't want this to get worse. Don't shoot him. Well, she meant well.
Right.
And I'm not judging that. She was
trying to help. Reacted the same way.
Yes, she's trying to help. Unfortunately, the next day, her dad goes missing. She comes out. He's a very punctual person, as I'm sure most people who work on ranches are. He's like half an hour late, 45 minutes late. Where the fuck is he?
Something's wrong.
She goes out. His coffee is like still sitting on the truck. It's still warm.
Which, that is red flag number one.
It's like, all right, why is his coffee here?
Guy does not just leave
his truck is there.
Yeah.
His stuff is there. He's not there. Okay, that's on May 29th, 1979. He never comes back. So it's 7 months later, on Christmas Eve, a teenager is riding a dirt bike 45 miles from the ranch and finds a skeleton. And if this is like it was in the reenactment, it's literally just a dried out, totally like nothing is left except
bleach
the bones.
white.
Yeah, white Halloween skeleton just sitting in this like cavern. And apparently the teenager didn't think his parents would believe him, so he put the skull in his backpack.
What a teenager thing to do.
I know. It's the most like teenage problem. So I'm like, no one's gonna believe me that I found the skeleton.
I have to bring the skull
I gotta
with me.
bring the skull. The most crucial part. So then he got home, and I'm sure his parents were like, holy fuck, oh my god, why did you touch that? Call the police right now. But this is pre-cell phone, pre-whatever. The police go out, they find the skeleton. They confirm that this is the last remains of Bill Thornburg. So Steve Wilson is charged with Bill's murder. He's on the run for a couple years, but eventually arrested in Las Vegas. He confesses, and I don't think this was in the episode, but is on Unsolved Mysteries Wiki, that in his confession, he stated that he forced Bill to dig his own grave before killing him.
Oh my god.
What a sicko.
The fuck?
Yeah. So he pleaded guilty to murder and was sentenced to 25 years to life in Folsom Prison, the famous prison of the Johnny Cash album. So he soon became... Okay, and I feel like this part of the reenactment is probably really, really accurate, where they show him like immediately like sucking up to all the guards and stuff because he wanted to be this model prisoner.
100%.
So he's like sweeping, and the warden is walking by, and he's like, oh, why, hello, sir. Are you having a great day? Like, what can I do best to serve you? And I was like, if that didn't make the warden is so suspicious, he should not have that job.
He's not good at his job.
No teacher, if some kid came up the first day and was like, why, hello, I have an apple for you. Like,
keep an eye on that kid.
Could I stay late and help you grade papers? And they're just batting their eyelashes. You'd be like, this kid's going to stab me as I go out to my car. Right? Like, it's too much. It's too much. But of course... No, this warden's a dumbass, and immediately rewards him. He's only been there a couple months, and he gets the most prestigious position of being the shipping clerk guy. Because this is back in the day when you still made license plates. You still were relying on prison labor to make license plates. So they got to ship all those license plates out. So he's in charge of making sure the shipments come in and out and whatever. But that means he's walking around with a stupid little clipboard all the time. He doesn't need to be in like a set. There's less times he needs to be in a set place. He has more freedom of movement, is how they phrased it, for a prisoner. So
Not good.
So a couple of years go by. He's a scheming, and it's really fucking simple. I hope this doesn't take him years to come up with. He gets two guys riding forklifts to crash into each other to create a distraction, and just literally stands in the truck and has them put boxes in front of him of license plates. That's his grand master plan.
And he gets out.
He got out. It worked. And that was apparently modeled after the last successful escape from Folsom Prison 15 years earlier.
They learned nothing.
So, way to go on that. And then he had some like tin snips or something that he took from where they make the license plates, so that at some point the guy driving the truck, stops to get a cigarette or whatever. He leaves the truck and the guy just snips a hole in the roof, climbs out, walks away. It made me go, oh, I could escape from prison. This seems easy as fuck. I don't know why that annoys me so much right now. It's like, oh!
It's annoying that this horrible dude could just get out, especially because we hear from her and she's like, I live in fear that he's going to fucking show up on my door because he's out here. He's a maniac. He's going to come kill me.
There's a lot of people who do not need to be in prison, but this guy
for sure does.
Is a threat. And I think, Callie has to be worried about her safety, but I also think this guy is just a con man to the core and would just go and do this again. I don't know. So this was aired in 1991 and was also on America's Most Wanted. And then... Oh, yeah. So he was living under a different name in Florida, and his girlfriend... neighbors realized it was him, but he realized before the episode aired that Unsolved Mysteries was going to be about him from reading TV Guide.
Oh, for sure.
So he was like, oh,
Not
fuck.
the first time that's happened, I think.
So, oh, fuck. So he went on the run, and his girlfriend remained in contact with him, which...
Come on.
What? So anyway, so the FBI placed his girlfriend under surveillance, and what happened was that she flew to England to meet him. And so then they found him by following her. And then he was arrested.
Not bright, these ones.
And was extradited back to the U.S. and is now serving life imprisonment for the murder of Bill and also for escaping from prison.
I realize we've talked about this before, but you escape from prison and then you just have to go back and finish your sentence.
I mean, he already had
sounds like
life.
a great deal.
He didn't really have that much to lose.
So, ugh. God.
It's just sucking up to the warden.
Yeah.
Calling him sir all the time is super gross to me.
Ew.
I don't know. It's like, what? I don't, maybe I'm being too mean. I just feel like that's really fucking stupid. If you were not like, oh, this guy's clearly trying to get this position to use it for nefarious purposes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously...
He'd only been there a couple months and he got the most trusted. So it's like, what?
Yeah, maybe test them out a little bit before you just throw them into that role. All right, this is a 4 mystery episode, which usually I like, but honestly, I'm going to warn you right now, as this episode went on, I paid less and less attention.
Same.
So our next one is The Lost Loves, but don't get excited because it's not a good Lost Love.
It is not.
All right, Frank Joseph, or also known as Frankie Bloomer of Ziegler, Illinois, was a Navy seaman during World War II. He served as a radio technician aboard the USS Rowan, a destroyer operating in the Mediterranean Sea. On September 11th, 1943, the USS Rowan was sailing off the coast of Italy when it was hit by a torpedo from a German U-boat. The ship sank in less than a minute, and 202 American soldiers were killed. Since his body was never found, Frankie was considered missing in action, which we've talked about before. And,
Tisk tisk.
Yeah, less than a week later, Frankie's mother, Jane, saw a photo of 3 of the ship's survivors. She believed that the man in the middle of the photo was her son. She contacted Frankie's brother's wife, Dorothy, and the two compared photos of Frankie to the photo in the newspaper. They were convinced that the survivor was Frankie based on several facial characteristics.
This reenactment is great because I love the kitchen and I love their outfits.
Yeah, this has got some great fashion.
But on another hand, I was like, I don't know that you really need outside opinions to think whether or not you recognize your son, but okay.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's not the greatest photo, I guess.
It wasn't, but Jane later took the photo to a mortician who analyzed photographs, which
She just seems like a cool dude.
he does, but I'm suspicious of this.
Oh, yeah, no. I don't know why he got to act like he was an expert on it, but I do think it's kind of cool that their like local mortician was like, oh, and I also analyze photographs. I'm branching out.
In case it's something you need. So this man determined that Frankie was the man in the photo. Jane contacted the Red Cross in hopes of finding out where Frankie might be. They told her to contact the War Department. However, they could find no more information about his possible whereabouts. Sadly, Frankie's mother passed away in 1971, but she never gave up hope that he was alive somewhere.
See, that's not good.
After her grandmother's death, Frankie's niece Janie began to search for him. As a child, she remembered seeing his photograph at her grandmother's house. When she asked about him, she was told he was gone, but would come back someday. There's this weird reenactment where they're sitting at a table and Jane's just there and is like, what is this, cake? And her grandmother is like, in a very monotone, creepy voice with dead eyes.
Like something from a ghost movie.
Is like, it's Frankie's birthday.
Today is Frankie's birthday, Samantha. Wouldn't you like a piece of cursed ghost
Little
cake?
Janie is like, is he coming back? And her grandmother's like, maybe someday.
Maybe he'll haunt all of your dreams. Eat up.
It wasn't even clear to me if they could eat the cake or if it just sat there in the corner of the table. It was weird.
Segment is, again, just an example of like, you need to be able to mourn properly.
Yeah.
It's just in causing this sort
Generations
of
of pain.
generations of trauma. It's rippling out. Now the niece is like, I feel like I have to solve it for them, and they're already dead. Like, oh.
Yeah, so in 1979, a gravestone was made for Frankie. Of course, he's not buried there. Janie hopes to find answers to the questions that haunted her grandparents their entire lives. Alive or dead, she hopes that her Uncle Frankie can be found. So this is solved. After the story aired, Unsolved Mysteries received a letter from USS Rowan survivor Wayne Easterling. He stated that he was the man in the on the left of the photograph. He revealed that the man in the middle of the photo was not Frankie, but instead his friend Richard Hennessy, who died in 1974. Wayne also noted that attorney Chris Harvey was the man on the right. The Bloomers, along with the Navy, now accept that Frankie died during the attack on the USS Rowan. Although it is not the news that the Bloomer family had hoped for, they are glad that they have a resolution to their search at last.
It's ridiculous to me that the War Department couldn't give her the names of those survivors at the time, or at least say, no, none of those are your son. I'm sorry. Those people have been accounted for.
Yeah.
Because she needed to be able to grieve for her son, and it just got put off so long that
she died.
Other generations of the family are now dealing with it, the ripples of this trauma.
Yeah. So that was just kind of depressing.
It's just, I'm sorry, but he's dead.
Yeah.
Like, even before it gets to the point where they're like, that's not even him in the photograph. Like, the whole time you're like, lady, I'm sorry, but he's not coming back. Like, at some point...
if he was alive, where did they think he was?
Obviously, he has amnesia, and he's just, like, wandering around.
That was my big unanswered question, because they never explained it. Like, okay, so you think this might be him, but where is he? He didn't come home?
Amnesia.
Oh, right, amnesia. He's wandering around out somewhere.
Somewhere out there, you know, still fighting the war, maybe.
Yeah.
Won't give it up.
Yeah.
Are we just putting off this last case?
I'm going to drink more of this polar water. This starfruit lemonade tastes kind of like a Sour Patch Kid.
It does a little bit. This tastes like...
I really like it.
A really good, I'm not sure if it's Sunkiss or Crush, but like less sweet.
Oh, I'm excited to try that one. I love pineapple. So when I saw that she sent us pineapple pomelo,
yeah, I feel like it tastes a little bit like Pineapple Crush, which is...
Yum.
Or pineapple Doritos.
Oh, I can't wait to break mine open.
Yeah.
All right, we do have to talk about this, unfortunately.
Okay, we've got a missing person. And God damn it, Samantha, I want you to leave politics out of it. Oh, wait, that's impossible. Because this case is literally about abortion. So good luck keeping it light.
Oh, God.
This is the case of
sucks.
Judy Hames in Coral Gables, Florida. It dates back to September 14th, 1965. So the fashion in this,
It's real great.
So good.
The actress that plays, is it Jodie or Judy?
Judy.
Judy is banging.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
She's wearing these like mod little shift dresses. Her hair's got that flip. I'm sure there's like a name for it, but where it's like a bob and it comes in, you know.
For sure.
Oh, so great. Okay, so she was a 22-year-old divorcee in Gables, Florida. She worked as a medical technician at the University of Miami Medical School at the Jackson Memorial Hospital. It says here on Unsolved Mysteries Wiki, in August 1965, she discovered she was pregnant. I don't know exactly how they know that because she kept her pregnancy a secret.
Yeah. They're assuming this is what happened.
Yeah, a lot of this has to be put together with conjecture because we don't know what happened to Judy, but it's believed that she found out she was pregnant, she was not married, and she did not tell anyone that she was pregnant because of the scandal that would have been, right? But by September 14th, 1965, Judy has vanished without a trace. Now, supposedly on the day of her disappearance, she told her friend Marilyn Jackson that she was leaving work early to go shopping for a watch, which I feel like is very specific. But it almost makes sense because if you've ever dealt with someone that lies a lot, those lies get like
very specific.
It's like so many details, and you're like, I don't know why I needed to know all that. And yeah,
because she took out $300 from the bank, and
which
it was almost like she needed to tell someone what she was doing with that money.
Except, how would anyone know if she went to the bank and got out $300?
She was like, "Oh, I'm spending this on a watch."
Which
you could have told. You didn't need to say that.
Like, Samantha, do you know the last time I went to the bank? No,
I do not.
And also, if I told you I was going to buy a watch later, wouldn't you be like, "Hey, can I see that sweet watch you bought?"
Right.
And I would have to be like, "No."
It's a secret watch.
It's a secret watch, not for your eyes. Quit asking about it. But anyway, so what it seems like is that she was actually leaving work early and getting money from the bank so that she could go get an illegal abortion. Which I was surprised that this segment handled this, I felt like, in a pretty non-judgmental way.
It sure did.
Robert Stack was like, look, she didn't have enough. This was his exact quote. Look, she didn't have a lot of options, all right? That was the tone. I didn't write down exactly what he said. But that she didn't want to be in this position. Nobody would want to be in this position. But she couldn't exactly have the kid. And abortion was not legal.
Yep.
So what was she going to do?
Her friend was also super non-judgmental.
Yeah.
She was like, I get why she did it.
Yeah.
It sucks, but I get it. And
yeah. I kind of like,
what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? But also, wish she had told me, but I get why she didn't. Right. She seemed like a very cool, understanding friend. I felt bad for her. So supposedly, she went to the office of Dr. George Haju, who was a Hungarian immigrant, and posed as a physician. I was wondering if maybe he had been a physician in Hungary and he just wasn't credited in the United States.
Not
but
sure.
We're not really sure. But anyway, supposedly he had an office where he was performing illegal abortions. And it seems like she went to, but I'm not even sure how they know that she went to his office that day. That's the part that what is the evidence of that?
It's weird because they didn't lay any out in the episode. They have to have some indication that that's where she went.
Yeah.
But they're
acting like that
anything.
is fact, but I don't know based on what. So that it seems like that's her last known whereabouts, and then she's never seen again. 3 weeks later, a rental car registered in her name is found 650 miles away in Atlanta, Georgia. On the back seat, traces of blood were found. Since this car had sat there for several days before being discovered, investigators were unable to properly examine the rest of the vehicle. I did not understand why. And a local resident spotted a man in his 30s parking the car and getting a duffel bag out of the back.
Yeah.
We never learned anything more about that. So 3 months later, George Haju is arrested for impersonating a physician. At the time of this episode, he had jumped bail and hadn't been seen since, and he was wanted for perjury charges. And they didn't know what had still didn't know what had happened to Judy. He fled, and the case went cold. What you get, the impression that I get from watching this is that the authorities were interested in arresting George Haju for performing abortions, but did not give a flying fuck what happened to Judy.
Right.
I don't know if maybe they could have done more with her car. I don't really understand what the fact that it sat for a few days meant, like, the evidence was worthless. That was just like thrown out as like, well, obviously they can't do anything with that. And I was like, but why?
Right.
I don't know. So then we get into this part that I think is just like, I don't know. It's just a weird diversion. So almost 25 years later, the investigation had to be reopened because of this series of bizarre events. And it began in 1990 when a police captain, Chuck Shearer, went to a narcotics lecture in Omaha, Nebraska. And then he comes back. It's like uneventful. And then 2 weeks later, he received a phone call from a man claiming to be Steve Brown, a popular talk show host in Omaha. And he said an anonymous caller had given him information about Judy's disappearance. This guy, Shearer, is unfamiliar with the case, right? Decades have gone by. He doesn't know Judy. He didn't work on that case. He wasn't on the police department at that time. He has no idea what this caller is talking about or why he called him. He's like, oh, okay. And so he's supposed to call him back. So he calls back Steve Brown in Nebraska. But when he actually gets a hold of Steve Brown doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Because he's not the person that placed that phone call. He doesn't know anything about Judy. He's never heard of the case. He certainly didn't have an anonymous caller call him with information.
It's weird.
It's really weird. The caller had somehow given out his like unlisted phone number, and not that many people had it. So that's weird too.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
So then just the two of them are just confused. Like, it doesn't help with the case in any way. It doesn't really make sense, but it seems like it's just a prank. And then 2 days later, I'm not even sure who, maybe Captain Shearer, gets a call from a woman who says that Judy Hames is alive. She lives in Omaha. And when he asked for more information, the woman just repeated that several times and then hung up.
So weird.
And the calls led him to believe that she may be living somewhere in Omaha. So they put a article about her disappearance in a local paper, and he got yet another anonymous call, and that was about a police informant who had spent this is someone calling anonymously, claiming to be a police informant who had spent several weeks with George Hadju in Budapest, Hungary. The informant also gave him a phone number to reach him. So he contacts Interpol and gives them the number, but that just was someone with the same name.
Okay.
It wasn't him. And they don't think that George is like making prank phone calls from Hungary to the police department. Basically, that's all just a big fucking waste of time, and it's strange, but it has nothing to do with anything. I guess it's just prank phone calls. It's fucking weird, but it doesn't shed any light on Judy whatsoever.
Yeah, maybe just publicity of this kind attracts people who are want to make these weird, horrible prank calls or something. But yeah, it's bizarre and it leads to nothing.
Okay, so what the authorities think happened is that, okay. 4 days after Judy's case aired on Unsolved Mysteries, an anonymous letter was received by the Coral Gables Police Department. It stated that Judy was indeed deceased and that her death was due to an allergic reaction to a drug given during the abortion. According to the letter, her body was disposed of in Biscayne Bay near Miami. The police believe the letter is legitimate. I don't know what that's based on. And they have no explanation for the Nebraska phone calls. The speculation is that the calls were a cruel prank, and that the caller may have learned about the case through newspaper articles about Judy's disappearance. I mean, I agree that I think if she really went and had that abortion, that there was a complication and her body was disposed of.
I tried Googling it just now, which I should have done before this, but there's not much out there. So what you find is basically what's been on Unsolved Mysteries. There's a Reddit thread about it. And then she's on the Charlie Project. And the Charlie Project says, which is a resource for missing people, says that she was last seen in the city where this abortion clinic was. But that's all it gives us. So...
Yeah, I
read
read through the Reddit threads. I read through a couple other things. It seemed to just be this information over and over again. I couldn't find anything actually placing her at the abortion clinic.
Yeah, and
or why they seem so confident that happened. If she really did go and get an abortion, it makes logical sense, I guess, that she died during it and her body was disposed of. But I don't really know what that's based on.
I'm not sure.
Friend at one point is like, I don't think that would happen to her because she had medical knowledge and she would have sought care and blah, blah, blah.
But not if she was...
But not if it's something sudden. Like, I think lots of complications from illegal abortions were infections from unsterilized equipment. And so you would have had time to go to a hospital or whatever, possibly, if you felt like that was safe to do.
And also we have no idea how he's performing this abortion. Is he sedating her? Was she unconscious at the time?
Did she have a reaction to anesthesia?
That was sudden?
It could have been who knows what. But I still just don't even know what that's fucking based on.
We have no evidence. And there's a lot that's frustrating, but what's extremely frustrating about this case is the cops seem to give zero fucks. They apparently wanted to get this abortion doctor, but they just drop her disappearance.
I think they were trying to they would have been happy to use her death as an excuse to arrest the abortion doctor. But beyond that, they're not actually interested in finding out what happened to her.
Yeah, because what Unsolved Mysteries tells us is that her case was just dropped. It doesn't say that it went cold or anything like that. It's like they had
this evidence
about finding her
with the car, and it doesn't seem like they follow up on it because it doesn't lead directly back to the doctor. It's useless to them.
Yep.
Did they try to find the man that's seen taking the duffel bag out of the trunk? Doesn't seem like it. Like, they have a witness to that, and it doesn't really seem like it's followed up on. If it was, it's not... I don't have that information here.
I know, and I'm basing this off nothing because the episode gave us very little to go off of, but I have to wonder if there was a mentality that it was her fault for getting this illegal abortion.
I think that's absolutely
they
true.
were like, well, that's what you get.
Yes.
And that is so shitty.
I mean, this segment is a real testament to the necessity of safe, legal abortions.
Accessible and...
Yes, because that's not going to prevent abortions. It's just going to prevent safe abortions.
Yep.
So it's... I have this, like, tiny hope that she, like, left town to have her kid, like, in privacy, but that's not really what I think happened. But, like, that would be great.
I would love to just believe that, though.
So she was like, I don't need nothing else to go off. I'm going to move to another town and tell people my husband died and have this kid. But there's just not much here because I think the police did a shitty job.
Yep.
And Judy deserved better.
You know, her friend was super cool. Her friend was like, I wish she was here now and had her kid because there's so much less stigma with single mothers, even just between when she first disappeared.
She was
when
like,
Unsolved
she
Mysteries
was willing to be
profiled
like, the stigma is gone. And I was like, that seems optimistic, but yay. But I just don't believe that segment would have aired and she wouldn't have called her friend.
No. Because her friend was so cool.
Would she have seen that and been like, oh, like that person does still want to hear from me after all these years and not gotten in touch to just be like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
So I do think that she's dead. We'll just probably never know what happens. And it's awful.
Yeah.
And if you're not in favor of safe legal abortions, we do not care and we do not want to hear from you. Thank you.
It's that.
Keep those comments to yourself.
Yep.
Okay. I can just feel those death threats coming in.
That's a wrap on that episode.
Yeah, let's rate that fucker.
All right, mysteriousness.
Not really. I mean, Judy's is mysterious, but it doesn't have, like... I guess sometimes I think of mysterious as this, like, very specific quality. Like, we don't know what happened to Judy, but I almost wouldn't call it mysterious because it's just too... I don't know.
I kind of understand what you're saying.
It doesn't have that, like, storytelling sort of aspect to it where it's just like, oh no, she's probably dead somewhere.
I think part of the reason why it doesn't feel that way is because we have nothing to go off of.
Yeah, it's just a dead end.
So, I mean, in a way that's mysterious, but it's super unsatisfying. I guess the first one is mysterious because we have no clue who killed.
That's true. So
Tracy.
Yeah, and then we have a stupid lost love and a wanted that's no longer wanted. So sideways.
Sideways for mysteriousness. Reenactments were okay.
The acting in that ranch part is real bad. But other than that, I think they're pretty good.
They were fine. Nothing
they're
to write
fine.
home about. I'm not gonna tell you need to see it.
There's none of these segments I'd be like, sit down. You gotta watch this woman who needs an abortion.
There's no Kurt McFall in this one.
No,
The fashion also was okay, but it was really only in that one segment.
No. Okay, I I feel like it gets better and better. So you get the boutique at the beginning that has this 80s, all these 80s clothes, and it's just like this hilariously 80s store. Then you have the World War II era fashions.
Yes.
With the little, like, bandanas and the victory rolls and the whatever. And then, yeah, by the end, it's just mod shift dresses. And I thought it was very good.
Liz enjoyed it.
Thumbs up from me.
All right.
What else are we supposed to rate in this?
Robert Stack.
Was he there?
He had a variety of outfits.
Okay, actually, I'm going to give him a thumbs up for... I feel like clearly supporting a woman's right to choose.
I think he seemed very progressive, at least in this segment.
So you're right. We did see some different looks for him, but I don't even care because he was clearly like, look, Judy had to do what she had to do. Don't judge her.
Yep.
And I was like, thanks, Stack.
Thumbs up.
Thank you.
Thumbs up. So, out of a possible 5 Robert Stacks.
2.5?
Yeah. 2. I think I'm landing on a 2. 2.
It's the worst number in a way.
Didn't love it. 2. Ugh.
Who cares?
At least it's over. Hopefully that was episode 17. Hopefully episode 18 is better.
Let's hope. I feel like in a way, the highlight of this one for me was that, there's just like randomly a psychic. Where they're like, and now we talk to this psychic who a weirdo would call.
And that mustache in the update I didn't watch.
Yeah.
But other than that, not a lot of redeeming qualities to this one.
No, it's a bummer. It just gets sadder and sadder.
Yeah.
So it leaves you on just a very bitter note where you go, I hate this country. Ugh.
Yep.
We can't even solve mysteries here. Blah.
Can you uplift us with a recommendation?
Blah. No, I can't. But I did realize that I should recommend something that I recommend a lot. Maybe there's something in your life that two people are just talking and you almost feel like you burst in to be like...
like the Kool-Aid man?
Yeah. Like you're the Kool-Aid man bursting through the wall going, oh yeah! But in my mind, Samantha's like, have you seen Game of Thrones?
That's been me all day.
Where two people are just having a casual conversation that sort of relates and you're like, here's the thing I want to talk about, right? Well, I have a thing like that I'm constantly recommending to people, and I feel like they're like, okay, I didn't really ask. And that's that I wash my clothes with soap nuts instead of detergent.
That's true. You have told this to me before.
Yeah. Samantha's like, yeah, you won't shut up about that. Yeah, well...
Soap nuts is just hilarious to me.
It really is. It seems like a fucking scam. And I know this because I used to sell soap, and we sold these, and I would try to explain them to people... And people would just look at me like, like I was trying to sell
snake oil
or swampland or something. And I would have to go like, I know this sounds like it doesn't work, but I literally washed the clothes that I'm wearing right now. And people would be like, all right. But if you have chemical sensitivities or sensitivity to fragrance, or you're just a cheap bastard... I would really recommend washing your clothes with these things called soap nuts or soap berries. Different, you can hear them right now, that's them. Different, suppliers sell them in different packaging, but they're all the same fucking thing. They're just these dried out berry things. And it's something people used to use before detergent. And they just look like this. They look kind of waxy.
Oh, can I hold one?
Sure.
I've never actually...
She's like, I've heard you prattle on about this stupid thing.
It looks like a little shriveled ball sack.
Yeah, pretty much. So you put 4 to 5 of these in just a bag, and you throw them in with your clothes, and they
smell like nothing.
They kind of soap up, and that washes your clothes instead of detergent.
What are they? Is this an actual nut?
No, it's not a nut. So if you have nut allergies,
tiny testicle?
It is a tiny testicle, otherwise known as a berry. I was trying to see if this had the name of what it is. They're actually dried berries that grow in the Himalayas. When agitated in water, they produce a naturally occurring sycophant called sapoin. These berries are commonly called soap berries or soap nuts because the fruit has a hard shell that resembles a nut. Thank you, box.
Does resemble a nut.
It can be used as soak as detergent and gently cleans or as fabric softener. Blah, 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 blah. Whatever. You just throw in a few of these with your clothes and it washes them.
What kind of bag do you put them in?
Just like a little... Usually when you buy them, it comes with one. It's just like a little muslin bag.
Okay, interesting. I should try them. How long do they last?
You know, this is... I'm, like, looking at the instructions, and it's like, how many... It says that they last for 10 washes. I feel like I use them for more than that. And then when you're done, you just compost them.
Oh, okay. How do you know when they're used up?
They will fall apart.
Oh, okay.
So, you'll know.
I should try some. I love using those wool dryer balls instead of dryer sheets because I really do try and strive to eliminate as much, like, one-use things or whatever, or the amount of waste. And they work great. I love them. So I would be all for...
I don't remember exactly how much this box cost, but it says it does 100 loads on it. I feel like I'm going to get more out of it than that, and it's not expensive, so it's way cheaper than detergent. And also, if you have if you live in an apartment building where your laundry is in the basement and you have to carry your detergent down the stairs with you, you will appreciate only carrying 5 little dried up nuts in a sack instead of hugging a huge thing of Tide down the stairs.
Sure.
You will. And yeah, it's just cheaper. What I don't recommend it for is if you have like smelly workout clothes.
Okay.
It's not going to cut it.
I probably wouldn't use this on my husband's work clothes because he is a
if you have
mechanic
things that
and
get like
heavily soiled.
Like really musty towels or like something that's quite dirty, this is not going to cut it.
Sure.
But just for your regular, I use it for sheets. I use it for,
those
whatever.
Aren't that dirty. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the clothes you wear every day, like...
If something's like caked in mud, like, yeah, it's probably not enough. But just for, your regular laundry, yeah.
It's plenty.
Mm-hmm. I've been using it for years. Works fine.
Nice.
And yeah, it's good if you
recommendation.
are avoiding fragrances and stuff like that.
Excellent. Well, I have some books.
What? Did someone say soap nuts? And I just burst in. Hey!
No one just says
no one. No, but what will happen is people will be like, oh, my doctor told me that I should avoid fragrances. And I'm always like, oh, really? I have the solution for you.
That's great because it has to be impossible to find laundry detergent that's fragrance free. And if you find it, it's probably super expensive.
Yeah, I think there is some now. For a long time, I don't know that there was. I think there is now, but this has got to be cheaper.
All right. I have some books to recommend.
Okay.
I feel like it's been a hot minute since I've recommended some books.
I think that is true.
But I've been reading a lot of books. And
Samantha wants you to know she can still read. She didn't forget while she was in San Diego.
I need to recommend because some of them haven't been that great. But
it happens.
So for February, even though the snow has kept us from meeting with our book club, Liz chose a book called Cannibalism by Bill Schutt. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name.
I'm not
I think
sure
it's
either.
Schutt. Anyway, it's a great book. I do recommend it. It's not my main recommendation for today, but it's all about, you guessed it, cannibalism.
It's funny. It's a lighter read than I expected, and I appreciate that.
Because it's primarily about, because he's a biologist, this author, so it's primarily about cannibalism in the animal kingdom. I learned a lot. I learned that female praying mantises do not eat their mate after they have sex.
I know, it's so sad. They just do that in the lab when they don't have enough food.
Yeah, if you starve a praying mantis and put it in a cage and make them fuck, then then the larger one, which happens to be the female, will eat the male.
There is a type of spider in Australia, though. The redback spider does it, so worship them instead of the praying mantis.
True. I learned more than I ever wanted to know about hyenas' giant clitorises and how
babies burst from
That was horrible.
I feel like every page of that book taught me something that's like the most fascinating thing I've ever heard, and then I have to tell Mac right away. Like, did you know? And then I'm like, of course he doesn't. Like, no. Did you know that hyenas give birth from their clitorises? No. Thanks, Liz.
So, yes. That was a
That's
visual.
also me bursting in. Did you know? Anthropologists cannot agree if there's ever been a group of people who regularly practiced cannibalism.
I found that fascinating.
That it might all be myths.
Yeah. So I loved that book, but I wanted more about mad cow disease, which is...
That's the most Samantha sentence I have ever heard.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I enjoyed this book about cannibalism, but it was a little light.
Mad cow disease.
I wanted more mad cow disease. Because there's nothing more, Samantha, than wanting to think about how the fact your brain could just have holes in it to the
become
point
a sponge.
That you can't... I'm sick just thinking about it.
So this recommendation is not for Liz. But I Googled what are some books about mad cow disease?
That's in your history forever.
And I came up with this book called Deadly Feasts by Richard Rhodes. And it was a quick read. It was like an 8-hour audiobook. Actually, it might have even been shorter than that. It might have been like 3 hours. Anyway, it was excellent. And it wasn't just about mad cow disease. It was about any disease that is a result of prions, which we learned in cannibalism is a bit of, like, the scientific community is not in agreement on whether or not those even exist.
Science.
But this book went into a lot more detail about the perhaps existing cannibalism in various human civilizations around the globe. It went into a lot of detail about all of the different diseases you could potentially get from these prions. It was super fascinating. I don't recommend it for the squeamish, and I don't recommend it for someone who might be easily frightened away from eating meat, which maybe that'd be a good thing. I don't know. I will say that it's frightening, this mad cow disease type thing.
Terrifying.
Because I guess I didn't realize how easy it is to pass it along. Like, even like some scientists think that even stopping eating meat might not even keep you safe from these diseases. It's scary, but I'm not easily frightened by those things, so it's not keeping me up at night. I thought it was fascinating.
Of course you did.
But I'm a weird person.
But that's what we love about you.
It's really good.
I will not be listening to it.
I will say I've gone on like a little like deadly disease books about deadly disease like
of
binge.
Course.
I got 2 more, which one I finished. So this led me down a road because it was only 3 hours. I was like, I still need more. I'm not satisfied. So I also got this book called Beating Back the Devil by Maren McKenna. I believe Maren McKenna worked at one point, or maybe still does, for the CDC. And she follows basically this group of, they call them like disease investigators. I'm not sure exactly off the top of my head their full details, but it's people that basically different doctors will get recruited into this program from the CDC where they are trained to be, I don't remember what it's called if you're investigating deadly diseases. But apparently the CDC had this problem where they didn't have enough people that were going into this field of researching deadly diseases.
Yeah, I wonder why.
So they started recruiting other doctors and veterinarians into this program and training them basically in-house. And she follows a bunch of these doctors that were in this one class as they investigated all of these different, like, anthrax was on there, and you get to learn a lot about their process that they go through training. And I found that book to be extremely interesting. I listened to it to and from Minnesota on my business trip, and that one was less gross. So I think if you would be interested by people that his whole job is to investigate diseases and go around the world and hunt them down and try and figure out how to minimize these outbreaks of deadly diseases, I think you would be really interested in that. The other one I'm reading at the moment is called The Demon in the Freezer, and I'm not sure how much, that one's by Richard Preston. I'm not sure how much I'm liking this one so far. I think it might just be the delivery of the narrator, who's a little bit dry.
Sure, yeah.
But this one is specifically, I think, I'm only a few hours into the audiobook, but this one is specifically following the history of certain diseases that are like locked away in the secret. Like, I just finished the section about smallpox, where they talked about the last smallpox epidemic and the effort to eradicate it, which that was really interesting to learn about the different methods that epidemiologists, I remembered the name. I've only read 3 books about these people. And I finally remembered the name. The methods they use to contain and eradicate smallpox from the earth. But now it's a big problem with if someone had smallpox and weaponized it, they could wipe out, tons and tons of people. But they talk about, like, basically, so smallpox is, like, in the CDC and it's super secret, and they're, they discuss the history of it. And, the CDC doesn't just tell you where they keep smallpox. So there's all these, like, rumors and stuff about it. That one is written a little bit more like almost a fiction thriller type novel. So I'm liking that, but I don't know. I'm weird.
Mostly you've read these books and you've gone, yeah, you're right. We shouldn't vaccinate people. That's been your reaction to learning about all
for sure.
these horrible diseases.
Definitely.
You've been like, you know what, vaccines.
You know what doesn't work?
Worst.
Vaccines.
Yeah. You might be interested to know that I am not allowed to donate blood because I was in England for more than 6 months in the 80s and therefore
Interesting.
could have mad cow disease.
Oh, interesting.
I probably don't have mad cow disease.
You're probably safe.
But I still can't donate blood, so sorry about that.
Yeah, so in that book, Deadly Feast, they talk about how it was passed around in blood transfusions.
Yeah.
Because people didn't know that it could be in blood. And so they talk a lot about how scientists went about discovering that it could be passed from person to person. Because it wasn't believed to be able to do that.
That disease really freaks me out.
It's scary. And
It freaks me out to think about the brains for some reason.
yeah, it's kind of gross.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I will say
I don't like it at all.
the final little chunk of that book, Deadly Feast by Richard Rhodes, is sort of his thesis about how like it's not a great idea to eat meat, and that as long as civilizations around the globe are engaging in meat eating, there's always going to be a risk that these diseases are going to sprout up. And I was eating meatballs at my desk on my lunch break at work, listening to finishing this audiobook, and I'm like biting into a beef meatball while he's telling me that I might get mad cow disease from eating this.
Oh, great.
So that, yeah.
Well, that's just like a full sensory experience then.
If you're weird like me, you can find my my Goodreads handle in our Facebook group. Someone asked for it recently, and I was like, just so you know, I read some weird shit, but here you go.
I think they already know.
They probably do.
I don't think it's a secret.
I'm on my 4th book about epidemiologists and deadly diseases, so.
At some point when I was looking up the cannibalism book, I saw that there's a book about animals that drink blood
Interesting.
that I think we should also read.
I was disappointed to find that. So I really like that book by Richard Rhodes about mad cow disease, and I was disappointed to find that his other books are all about the atom bomb.
Oh.
That's like all he's written about, and I think he's acclaimed for it, but that interests me not at all. And so I was like, oh, surely this guy's written some other good shit, which I think he has, but it's not something that would interest me.
Sure, yeah.
So he's written like 6 books about the A-bomb. So if that interests you, he's a good author.
Okay.
So
Can't say that it does.
doesn't interest
I
me,
think I'm going to pass on that as well.
but someone listening
Okay.
might.
Everyone, thank you. Hugs to you all.
You're the best.
You're the best. So you can find us on the social medias.
And perhaps it's you. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
You could email us your paranormal tale. Please. We
got some good
want your
ones.
paranormal tales. That's perhaps it's you podcast@gmail.com. There's also a form on our website, www.perhapsitsyou.com.
We will be reading those paranormal stories on our season finale. I think we got enough. They've been rolling in.
Yeah.
The most recent one, so we're not reading these emails, but I did see a subject line that said something like Zach Bagans cursed my apartment? ?
Yeah.
I don't know. Whoever you are, you know who's sent that in. I haven't read the email, but that subject line really intrigued me.
We are intrigued. So get those in so we can do our season finale. And you should rate us 5 out of 5 Robert Stacks on iTunes, Apple Podcasts.
That's the best. If you could do that, throw us some money your way if you have a little bit extra jingling around at the bottom of your purse.
Yeah.
We have new tiers. Our second
Patreon?
coloring sheet went out last week.
Yes, for Hero Dog Mustache, as played by the 2 pod dogs.
Yes, they're adorable. You can see what that looks like on our Instagram page.
Have you ever colored a guillotine before? No? Well, now's your chance.
Now's your chance. Also, our super duper mystery solver gifts are going to go out in April. So look forward to that.
Yeah, I feel like I should clarify slightly. So, Patreon is not really set up for... We wanted to do like a quarterly gift for people who were donating the highest tier, the super duper mystery solvers. So like, every 3 months we'll send you something special. Well, that means you have to be signed up for 3 months. The payment's got to process for 3 months for you to get the thing. Does that make sense? I think it does. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yes.
So after you've been signed up for it for 3 months, then you'll get the thing.
Yes.
So that means that when the payments are processed at the beginning of April, we will send out the first batch to the first peoples who signed up.
Yes.
Blech. I feel like this is like not that weird of an idea to do something quarterly, but Patreon is like once monthly, no other options.
Yeah, if anyone from Patreon is listening, the other thing is that we created these tiers after we set up our page. Like, we didn't know what we wanted at first. So we had one tier, And as we grew, we decided to add more tiers. The people that were already giving us money weren't automatically put into those tiers.
Yeah, we'll figure it out, but it's just annoying.
So if you look at our Super Duper Mystery Solver tier, there's people in it, but there's actually more people giving that money. They're just not like in the tier. So it doesn't make it easy for you to just send things out to those people. You have to like sort them and actually go out and like find them.
But if you've been giving us $10 or more all along,
you are going to get something special in April.
Yes, that's the point. I hope that made sense.
I hope it makes sense. Also, we will have a new Patreon bonus episode that goes out to all of our patrons. At the end of this month, we're doing Chicken People, the documentary.
I really have no idea what I'm in for.
It's something. It's it's something special.
Okay. Also, thoughts on whether in April we should do my most favorite thing to hate watch, which is the movie 8mm.
Okay. Let us
Samantha's
know.
like, I don't know what that is.
It's a movie I've heard of but never seen.
I like that these things also have absolutely fucking nothing to do with each other.
Chicken People documentary.
Or a Nicolas Cage movie. Sure. Yes. We do it all here. Perhaps it's you.
Yeah. You all should send us some recommendations because we've gotten to the point where we've like caught up with what we've wanted to do for Patreon and we're just kind of deciding month to month. And that's how we land on things like the Chicken People documentary. So we want to hear from you and give you what you want. So if that doesn't interest you at all, send us some recommendations.
How could it not? I don't understand.
Isn't this an Unsolved Mysteries podcast? Why are you doing this documentary about people that show chickens? Well,
because it's us. Because we mentioned it once, I think.
And now here we are.
We're
going to spend $2 to watch the Chicken People documentary on Amazon.
Oh my goodness, $2. We'll never get it back.
Well,
okay, I think that's everything.
Yeah.
Survive winter.
Oh, if you can.
Yep.
Solve some mysteries.
And also solve mysteries, but more importantly, survive winter. Bye, bitches.
Bye.